Hello and welcome to another Draw Along with Dan. I'm cartoonist Dan Lietha, and we have a special Draw Along with Dan today. We're featuring Snoopy all week this week, and it's a cartoon mix-up. So Snoopy as Spider-Man today. Let's get drawing. And I love drawing Snoopy. Snoopy was a part of the beginning of my art career, and Spider-Man, hey, that's a popular cartoon character too. Comics, more of a more of a comic book character, but so we're kind of merging two different cartoon worlds in a sense. But um, this is clearly a parody of both of them. So what do you get when you mix Snoopy and Spider-Man together? Well, you get a lot of fun. So I thought it would be an interesting exercise to draw Snoopy as these superheroes, and I'm kind of wondering how many kids these days get to see Snoopy. Charles Schulz, the cartoonist that drew the Peanuts comic strip, passed away, I think, around the year 2000, and so Peanuts isn't as prominent as it used to be, but still around, and still a great comic strip that I think outmatches so many other, especially recent comic strips. Um, so I'm just sketching in the basic shapes of Snoopy, and then I'm trying to map over the top of those basic shapes some Spider-Man elements. So we're again trying to merge those two worlds together. And Snoopy's pretty simple as far as shapes go. The uh, the shape of the heads of the Peanuts characters are kind of a challenge sometimes because you have to get them right. So I hope that I've gotten it close at least here in this drawing. So I like to sketch with a color, not just gray. I mean, if I have a pencil, then you sketch with whatever the gray lead uh, color shade is. But on my computer, if you've seen me draw in the past, it's either blue or red, which actually kind of fits Spider-Man. So I just picked red this morning. But again, following my reference, I've got reference for both Spider-Man and Snoopy, and he's as Spider-Man, Snoopy has spun a web and he's swinging like we see Spider-Man do in the movies. In fact, there's a Spider-Man movie that just came out not so long ago, so maybe some viewers will be interested in seeing a different version of Spider-Man that you won't see in the movie. They've got everything else but Spider Snoopy. Um, or should I say Spider Beagle? That's probably where I'll go with this because um, I think Snoopy would highlight the Beagle part versus the Snoopy name. Just a guess here. I didn't ask Snoopy. So the webbing part of the design of the costume is the tricky part. So I've got some basic lines to follow. Again, trying to follow the shape of the cartoon character. And here's the little Spider-Man logo type of thing. My version, put it that way. And then there's some line work underneath on the chest and on the legs. Some of it's more webbing, some of it's more crosshatch, or I don't know, like a square pattern instead of the webbing part. But so If you practice Snoopy, it doesn't take real long to at least get a handle on drawing him. I think part of the key to Charles Schultz's success in drawing so many comic strips over his career, and he did it for over 50 years, so, or about 50 years, is that his characters are pretty simple to draw. And it probably didn't take real long, and he could probably draw them in his sleep. Maybe he did. Comic strip creating is tougher than you think. Coming up with ideas and oh yeah, I forgot to put the collar on. So Snoopy, Spider Beagle has to have his collar on, and then I know Spider-Man's nose doesn't poke through the costume, but hey, it's Snoopy. You gotta have his nose there. And I think it adds to the costume anyway, so it'd be kind of strange to see the costume without Snoopy in it and have this hole right at the end of the head. And you gotta get the eyepiece shapes. Which, okay, it's a little awkward the way that Charles Schultz draws some things, because he'll put both of the eyes on one side of Snoopy, and so again, to make that work, I guess I could have left one eye on one side, but to be faithful to the Charles Schultz side of things, I chose to put the Spider-Man faces, or the eye things, on the one side too. And so you've got an action pose, which usually Snoopy in the Peanuts comic strip, he runs and he dances and stuff like that. He flies around on his doghouse. But this is a little more action than I'm used to seeing Snoopy do. Snoopy Doo. Said that again. I've got some friends that have a dog named Snoopy Doo. So there's Spider Beagle holding onto the web that he's swung from. And here's a trivia question. Maybe you guys, if you're a follower of the Peanuts comic strips, has Snoopy in the comic strip Peanuts ever been a superhero? Write that in the comments. And his paws usually aren't so defined as a hand. I mean, maybe a little bit, but this is probably a little more dexterity than Snoopy's used to having. But I had to do that for the thwip part of the web shooting. So Spider Beagle is shooting some web from his wrist. I think Snoopy would make a cool Spider Beagle. He's definitely got attitude sometimes, like a fun Joe Cool attitude when he's got his Spider Beagle costume on. And what other we're featuring Snoopy this week, so I'm not going to do any other Peanuts characters as anything else, but if I were to do that, what Peanuts character would you like to see as what superhero? So Charlie Brown as who, or maybe just with a given superpower or something. It's kind of fun to think about. So as far as draw along with Dan features go, drawing superhero comic strip characters is probably a little out of the realm, because I've pretty much stuck with animals and making cartoon animals and talking about God's creation and stuff like that. But I thought I'd add some variety here and see what kind of response it gets. So I did do a video earlier on my YouTube channel that shows you how to draw Toothless from the How to Train Your Dragon series. And a few people have checked it out, but I would have thought it would have been a little more popular. So I'm kind of wondering how Snoopy's going to do as far as the popularity. Not a recent character for sure, but I think there's still a lot of Peanuts fandom out there. So I've got a lot of the Peanuts books. I don't have the whole collection, but let's just say it might be a goal to have all the Peanuts comic strips. I've got some of the old books. By the way, stay tuned to the end of this drawing, because I haven't added something yet that I'm going to add. So there's a little extra added touch at the end. Stick around. The webbing again. Little details, right? I mean, think about the cartoon or the comics book artists. I'm only drawing Snoopy. They had to draw a more realistic built Spider-Man and then put all the little web on him. Every panel, every figure, every time. And then try to get it right. So, and then here's something else that makes that even worse, is if you see an animated Spider-Man, like they're just, well, the one that came out recently is the CGI, so that one in a sense really doesn't count because those panels aren't hand drawn. That's a computer generating those images, and all that webbing is in the brain of the computer, and it knows where to put them, and so that doesn't count. But think about in the old days when animated cartoons were hand drawn. That poor artist, whoever was in charge of doing the line artwork anyway, had to draw in all of that webbing. You'll notice that in a lot of the cartoons for animation, they will limit, because of that fact, they will limit the webbing to like Spider-Man's head, and then it'll kind of end at the neck, and then maybe they'll put it in a couple other places just to give an indication of, oh yeah, there's some webbing on his costume, but they try to avoid all that extreme detail because you got to draw that every little panel every time. And how many drawings are there per second in an animation? That's a little crazy. So they try to save the animators, and it takes time. I mean, all that stuff takes time. So, and speaking of taking time, I've sped the video up here, so what you've seen up to this point was real-time drawing, and now to save you, the viewers, the time of me having to color this in real time, I've sped this up to I think 8 times. I goofed on the leg there, so I got to fix that. In fact, the wrist of the hand, the arm holding where Snoopy has been, not the new web. I missed coloring that wristband in too, but I'll fix that in the end. Here's the addition, the little extra added touch that I talked about. So Snoopy's best friend is Woodstock, and so Spider Beagle, this sticky web had a unforeseen consequence. So poor little Woodstock got caught in Spider Beagle's web. I'm sure in the next panel he would fix that. Okay, hey, Woodstock's probably chirping and making some sounds. Hey, buddy, I'm stuck. Help. Spider Beagle to the rescue, right? All right, inking Woodstock. And I didn't find any reference for this exact or this type of expression. I'm sure Charles Schulz drew something like that, but so I'm kind of making some of this up. I hope I'm within the reasonable realm of how he would do that. Woodstock's not too terribly complicated either. So he's got his little wings flapping. Hey! And then I'll make the sketch go away. And I put all this on its own layer so I can color underneath the ink lines. All I have to do is just add a color, a yellow layer, and we're good to go. Now this coloring is in real time. I didn't speed this up. It's so small. What other superheroes would you like Snoopy to be? I've got 5 selected for this week anyway, so you'll have to stick around and see. Well, you might be able to look at my YouTube channel and see which ones they are. There he is, just attached to the strand of a web. And now I'm going to add some extra added touch for the finishing scene. And I thought it'd be nice just to put a little sky color in the background, give it some atmosphere a little bit. And then the final version of this that you'll see, I've added some touches that didn't get recorded in the video. So, and again, I fixed that wrist that wasn't ended up colored quite right. So I thought a nice subtle addition of sky color in the background makes this nice. I don't know what he's swinging from or to, but I think that works well. And then the last little part, of course, is to sign my name, which I encourage all artists to do. I think it's important to have our identification on the artwork that we do. And then nobody has to wonder who did that. And I have a website, so I put .com on there, so you'll check out my website. So please do that. And so here we are with the final version, Spider Beagle swinging from his webs. Poor little Woodstock caught in his web, but like we said, if there was going to be a next panel, that would be fixed pretty quick, because Spider Beagle is a hero and he needs to save people and little animals too. So again, this is Dan Lietha, cartoonist, and I am grateful that you have joined me for Draw Along with Dan. Thanks for watching.